Hey, how are you? Welcome back to Research Reality. Today we have a special video for you. Returning viewers of the channel will know that the wall behind me is completely comprised of protest music, revolutionary music. Any iota of political charge or social commentary can be found within every album on this wall. So instead of reviewing the lyrics as we normally would, today we are exploring the album artwork, diving into the imagery and the symbolism behind the music itself. And it really won't take long at all before you start to notice that these albums share a lot of the same imagery. A lot of these symbols are repeated, and again, I just think that shows that a lot of this music is in fact unified within the messaging that they are trying to convey. Quick side note to say that every album on the wall currently is an artist that I either actively listen to or I'm at least vaguely aware of. However, this spot right here is reserved entirely for viewer recommendations. So if you think that there's an artist that I missed and deserves to be on the wall, definitely let me know. I'll check them out. And if I think they fit, they will go right there. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the album cover review and see what they entail. And starting in the top left corner, we have Metallica with their album And Justice for All. Here we have Lady Justice, who, as you will see later, is actually a prominent figure among some of the other album covers as well. But here she is depicted as being held back or tied down by a collection of ropes, and one of the scales is being tipped. It's a little hard to see from this image, but the scale is actually being tipped by a pile of money, which is falling out of the scale and raining down over the rest of the image. So essentially the money is tipping the scales in its favor. From there we have Parkway Drive that shows the earth in this black and white image. This album deals a lot with climate change, so the cover is actually quite fitting. And to the right of that we have Iron Reagan. Here we have what I believe to be President Reagan consuming all of this junk. There's a nuclear waste barrel, some missiles, other assorted goods. Then we have Prophets of Rage with the classic fist in the air. And we have Muse with their album Drones, showing a hand that is controlling a drone operator who is in turn controlling everybody on the screen. Pretty cool. Moving on to For A Cowboy, who have some of my favorite artwork on the wall. Their album Ruined Nation shows this dark lord sitting on a throne, shrouded with flags. There's an American flag, an Israeli flag, I believe a Japanese and Chinese flag. There's lots of wartime imagery with this one, with the tanks sticking out from behind the throne. On the left is a city being bombed, and on the bottom right you have a glimpse of an oil rig. But you also have these two alien figures rising above the throne on either side of the cover, which I always thought symbolized the left-right paradigm, where you might have two opposing sides, but in the end they're actually for the same thing, that thing being war. Their album Gloom shows the flag in distress in the background. There's all these hands sort of grappling towards the head of the Dark Lord from the previous album cover, and who actually makes an appearance on all of their albums. But my absolute favorite is for their album Demonocracy, where again we have Lady Justice covered in blood. On the left scale there's all these dead birds, and they're being outweighed by all of this ammunition. There's a grenade, a handgun, and dangling below it is a sheriff's badge. And actually behind Lady Justice along the bottom, you see a row of Riot police. Yet another poignant cover from For A Cowboy. Sum 41 with their album Chuck. Here we have a squadron of bombers that, instead of dropping bombs, are actually dropping televisions onto an unsuspecting group of children at play, their faces blacked out, and the guy on the television also has his eyes blacked out. Now you could interpret this as the kids being bombed with propaganda, since they wouldn't have developed the critical thinking skills necessary to actually understand what the guy on the television is saying, which is presumably leading to war. Or maybe they're just being bombed with TVs, who knows? Additionally, this could show the cost of war, where children and innocent civilians are often the casualties of military campaigns that would have been started by the face on the television. Another one of my favorites is the album Traitors by Misery Index. This one shows a prisoner of war with his head covered, and he's flanked by two separate lines of people. On the right, you have businessmen in suits, and they are dropping money over a pile of skulls. Very similar on the left, you have clergymen who are dropping crosses on those skulls. Now, for me personally, I find beauty in all religions, so while this may be a ding on Christianity itself, I think that really this is highlighting religion at its worst, where historically speaking it's been used as a means of waging war, for land, for control, and so it's really highlighting the ills of religion, what it could be at its worst, not that it's wrong in its entirety. Another one from Misery Index shows an American flag with what appears to be Uncle Sam with the face of a skull in the center, and the flag is surrounded by various military assets, some fighter jets, a helicopter, a tank. Following along with that same theme, we have Five Finger Death Punch with their album War is the Answer. Here we have a fighter pilot with a bloody handprint on his helmet. Behind him is an array of bombers. And in the background, where the sun is, lies a $. Again, alluding to the connection between financial incentives and wartime endeavors. Next is Brother Ali with Morning in America and Dreaming in Color. This one is more minimalist in design. You have Brother Ali praying on the American flag. Brother Ali is Muslim himself and has some very interesting takes on living in a post-9/11 world. So yeah, not much to say on this one besides the significance of that. Ice Cube with Everything's Corrupt. Got a bloody hand with some bloody cash. Probably blood money, or the blood you had to shed to get the money. Joey Badass with All American Badass. American spelled with 3 Ks. Hanging out of a car with the American flag. Whitechapel with their album Mark of the Blade. You have the band's signature 3-star shield that's being overtaken by this snake, which could very well represent the snake from the Don't Tread on Me flag. Next we have Acrania with Totalitarian Dystopia. Here on the left-hand side, you have a line of people who are climbing up and jumping into these vats, where they are boiled down or distilled into a liquid and then pumped into the guy here in the middle. Definitely one of the more grotesque albums on the wall, but I think it still poses quite the message. Also from Acrania, we have Tyrannical Hierarchy. We have yet another interpretation of Lady Liberty, here in a demonic form. Again, you have a line of people being fed into this fiery cavern, where they're flanked on both sides by oil rigs. And it's a little hard to see from this image, but money is actually raining down across the cover. Lamb of God with Ashes of the Wake. We have some birds descending with bullets in their beaks. And along the bottom, it's a little hard to see, but there's a bunch of workers hauling something along with a number of rats. And going down the line of Lamb of God, we have Wrath. That shows a cross of sorts made out of all of these skeletons, a cross of extinction, if you will. Resolution has a similar cover with this arid wasteland and a fire going in the background. Molotov Solution has a pretty cool cover. You have a guy with a gas mask on, holding a Molotov cocktail. There's choppers and barbed wire behind him. And along the bottom, there's a sign that says 24-hour surveillance in operation. This one's sort of a two-parter, where on the left we have Dead Prez with Let's Get Free, and on the right we have Disturbed with 10,000 Fists. So with the Dead Prez cover, we have all of these people holding up firearms, obviously as a sign of protest or active rebellion. And with the Disturbed cover, you have a more traditional protest with everyone holding up a fist. And it's almost as if the Let's Get Free album is in the background of the 10,000 Fist album. Kind of funny how that worked out. And again, following along with that same theme, we have Diesel Automatic's Power to the People, where yet again everybody is holding up a fist. All Shall Perish, The Price of Existence. We have this mechanized human who does not appear to be having a good time. Money is falling down around him, and in the background looks like another sort of dark, dilapidated city. And he appears to be handcuffed. I guess that's the price of existence. Next is one of my all-time favorite covers with Akala's The Thieves Banquet. There's definitely a lot lot going on in this one, but starting in the top left corner, we have some dollar bills, some more fighter jets, someone mourning the loss of a loved one, along with a revolver and a police in full riot gear. You also have a tank, and then in the center, you have Akala himself in front of this mushroom cloud that kind of looks like it's made out of a brain. Then down the right hand side, you have a skeleton with a scythe, presumably Death himself. You have the Wall Street Bull, two people in gas masks, and then down below that you have a few graves and a nuclear facility. And of course along the bottom you have the Thieves Banquet, which going around the table is comprised of a cartel of bankers, the heads of religious orders, the monarchs of empire, and third world dictators. Their glasses are filled with blood, and the plates in front of them are filled with human remains. Yeah, definitely a lot going on with this one, with very little space left unused. Akala's next album, Knowledge is Power Volume 2, shows Akala holding a tattered and torn British flag, overlooking this fiery protest. And then with Black the Ripper's Outlaw Volume 2, we have another British flag, this one set on fire with Black the Ripper's face, transitioning into the Guy Fawkes mask. With Arch Enemy's Anthem to Rebellion, you have rows and rows of people, faceless people, except for the guy in the middle who is ripping off the mold and revealing his real face. Looks like a good time. Rise Against, Appeal to Reason. Here you have a guy in a suit holding a gun to his head with a gas mask on. There's a chess piece in the top right corner along with a baby who's about to have its umbilical cord cut, but the cord itself actually looks like a charger or some kind of electrical plug. There's a dog running and a city with some billowing smoke on the bottom left. There's also a fighter jet wing and an upside down cow with a target on it. It's also a little hard to see, but right next to the guy's elbow in the background there's a heart, and inside of that is someone holding up a fist. I actually just now noticed that. That's pretty cool. Meshuggah. Contradictions collapse. We have the Statue of Liberty yet again, along with a nuclear explosion going off behind her. Yep, seems pretty tame at this point. Vinnie Paz has a pretty cool cover, where you have this president slash senator slash businessman, you know, whatever he is really. And in his hand, he's holding the White House, some bombs, some exploding protesters, this smoke cloud with a skull in it. For the first Dying Fetus album, we have Uncle Sam holding out a hand. He's surrounded by and is being pointed at by all of these rifles. And down near the bottom we have some more fists up in the air. And for their next album, War of Attrition, we have another rendition of Lady Liberty with these two crossing missiles and two American flags. Jungle Rot, Order Shall Prevail. We have some bloody riot police on horseback, there's drones flying up above them, and hanging from the horse are several severed heads. Yeah, this cover goes very well with the album title. Napalm Death comes in with a pretty bold cover. You have this Angel of Death standing in cahoots with these men in suits. I honestly can't tell if they're supposed to be ex-US presidents or not, but they very well might be. And they're overlooking these children who are living in poverty, and across the bottom you have all of these skulls, and embedded within the skulls are all of these corporate logos. There's McDonald's, IBM, BP, Ford, Coca-Cola. They definitely made their point with this one. Megadeth with the album Peace Sells But Who's Buying, where you have what looks like the UN, where you have a row of flags from various nations, and some jets flying in the sky, and what looks to be a pretty desolate wasteland. A Perfect Circle with their album A Motive. Here you have a crumbling peace sign among a burning city ruin. And last you have Sepultura with their album Nation, with several rows of fists up in the air being held against this tower in the background. Another simple cover, but still a good one. Alright guys, that concludes our video for the album cover review. Definitely let me know what you thought of these albums, or let me know if there's an artist or album that you would like to see added to the wall. And as always, let me know if there's an album that you would like to see me review next. We have an entire series dedicated to reviewing the lyrics of each album. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching. Definitely like and subscribe if you like the vibe. And until then, we will see you on the next video. Later.